Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another 1v1 cast in the ladder games. Here we have Pureriffs versus TheDBP. I'm just going to go straight in here, find a spawn, and ready up while we wait for the other two to spawn. Looks like we have a lot of water here, and it doesn't all seem to quite connect, but it is snaking around the planet a rather large amount, so we might even see some navy being utilised here, which should be interesting. I doubt it because of the way navy is at the moment, but you never know. We will get to that when we do. Now we're just waiting on Pureriffs to find their spawn, and then we can get going. Maybe they're taking a little bit of time to actually join in the game. This sometimes does happen. And we're off. Right, so let me go straight away and delete my commander. Boing! There I go. And these players have actually spawned quite close to each other. We have the DBP in green towards the north and the Pureriffs in red towards the south, going for a mechs, an energy, and probably a further 2 mechs, although we might see a factory before those further 2. Same build going over here, although they went for energy first from the DBP. It is a little bit interesting. I mean, it jumbles things up a little bit, but fundamentally the same build order. In fact, we do get another mechs going up here from both players. And I think we can zoom out here and just watch from here during the early stages of their econ development, as we can see the icons popping up. The Pureriffs starting closer to some more metal than the DBP. Had to walk a little bit there and therefore gets a little bit behind on that third mechs extractor right there. Going straight in for a vehicle factory from the DBP, whereas Pureriffs is going for a further metal extractor there. Now, just judging the surrounding area, what we might see here is some expansion from Pureriffs onto the other side of this fissure and around here, while because we have all of this metal over there. Other than that, there isn't a huge amount of metal in this region. I mean, you have a few little odd clumps over here, but they will be difficult to defend, especially considering they are coastal sites. What we'll more likely see is the players expanding towards each other, trying to claim these metal sites here, and I believe possibly a fight over these metal sites will ensue, and which will lead both players to realise, oh, that is where we are. On the other hand, though, the DBP can expand north somewhat, because they have these 5 mechs here and a further 4 over here, before expanding even further to an actual 10, and if they get far enough they can start to even claim the North Pole because of the choke point right here. Both players now have their vehicle factories out, and the DBP has already built a radar, so that'll get his intel going and defending this region, although it is somewhat obsolete because we know, though the DBP does not, that the spawn is actually on the other side. Both players going for a lot of fabricators first, and including Pureriffs, who is going straight for some more energy with their commander, while the fabricators continue with the mechs. The same isn't quite said for the DBP, who's slightly behind on the energy, and in fact what they do have up here is a laser tower just going to defend that, so that's going to sit there alone probably while they expand to these metal sites now because of the defense of this, although as we know they've spawned down here. And a second vehicle factory going up for Pureriffs now, so maybe very soon we will start to see some ants coming out and maybe some early aggressive pushes being made. Pureriffs might do well to actually build a skitter right now and send maybe 1 down and around the south and through there, and 1 up to the north through here, at which point the DBP's spawn will be found. But the DBP is already getting some ants, so that early aggression there is interesting, and maybe we might see it. And as expected here, we have both players expanding to these metal sites right now, and I doubt it'll be very long now before the penny drops and both players will figure out, oh, that is where our spawns are in relation to each other. Pureriffs here going rather risky because of the way they're expanding and the way we can see the spawns are. These, if these energy continue to go up here, they will get more and more in danger as they go. We can also see these metal sites here expanding constantly. And the same with the DBP over here. A third vehicle factory going up for Pureriffs. And there it is. There is the penny. There is the floor. The penny hit it. And now we know the Pureriffs and the DBP know where each other are. The commanders are really rather close now to each other. So I think it might be time for players to back off. And indeed they are. The DBP is going, nope, I see their commander. I do not want to engage him in battle. Not just yet. Anyway. And the commander is going to get that laser spout up there to block any further expansion to these sites here from the DBP, who will answer in kind here with another laser defense system. And what we'll probably see now are a lot of ants coming out in earnest to try and take this whole metal site here. And I believe maybe the most of the fighting will be done over this metal site. A fourth vehicle factory going up, whereas only 2 are up for the DBP. In fact, DBP only has 1 vehicle factory and is going straight for bumblebees, so maybe some early aggression on the commander there. And that commander is in range of those laser towers, and that is not a good idea to be in. He's going to try and get back and maybe build another one just for safekeeping there. Although what you really... No, that's not going to work there. It's in range. These ants are going to come down and try and provide support now. But Pureriffs getting to those laser towers earlier and first has the advantage over this defensive line here. Although these ants are now going to come round and take out that factory before it can be built. One of them is going to die from the laser factory there, but now these ants are going to move up and go, oi, we've had quite enough vandalism from you guys, and they are going to take them out rather easily indeed. There they go. Another ant going to come down here, not do a whole lot. That commander going to say, oh, there's some laser towers over there as well. I do not want that. This is a line here that we've established. And indeed we also see this early ant push flanking round this defensive line right here through this whole region of non-defensed area right here. And because there aren't all that many ants left in the DBP's base, instead they're going for more vehicle factories now. But is it a little bit too late with all of these ants coming into the main hub of the DBP's base? We'll just have to wait and see. I think maybe if these move down and the bumblebee keeps on doing what it's doing best, we might see a hold off here. And the Pureriffs is going to have to retreat and come back another day. Indeed they are. That is too many ants. Those are going to die before doing any economic damage at all. They do a little bit of damage to the mech site, but it didn't take it down, and therefore it still stands, providing that income. Meanwhile, Pureriffs is expanding to all the metal sites along this whole stretch here, and maybe even continuing round to this abundance of metal over here, which will be very valuable in that later game economy should we get to it. This commander now going to keep moving up with this line here, going to really start putting some pressure on this. Maybe it would be wise to get a fabricator down and building some walls now, but those bumblebees are going to get taken out by the ants, who are very powerful against air actually, especially in the early stages of the game. They provide a good source of early anti-air. So maybe bumblebees isn't the way to go, especially considering you're going at ants and they're going to get shot down before they can do any damage there. I mean, they shoot down one ant, but the bumblebee is just going to circle around, take a little bit of damage to the commander there, maybe even the laser tower. The rest of those ants are going to take out that laser tower before the commander is just going to look at its ruins and just go, oi, I was building that. And these ants now are going to take out these 3. Although before they can actually group up and form a more powerful bunch, the bumblebee is going to swoop in and take out one ant without dying actually, so maybe they'll get a second pass. Nope, they will not. That is completely negated by other ants left around in the base, which now has 6 vehicle factories and an air factory going up as well. Whereas the DBP has only 4 vehicle factories and 1 air factory, although they are beginning to expand up towards the north and also protecting their flanks at the same time, which is a good idea to do. This defensive line here from this commander isn't going to be too powerful because they have the commander there who is going to be able to defend, and that commander is going to be a sitting duck right there. He is going to want to move him away as soon as possible. These ants are going to move in, they are going to get repulsed, they have the commander there and plenty of ants there, so that is not a problem. This commander going to move up a little bit further, maybe build a laser tower there, just out of range. If he can get a second one up as well, but maybe therefore he will actually be able to defend that line, but what they really need to do is get a fabricator down there and build some walls to draw the fire and really bolster up that defensive line. Without the walls there, the towers are out in the open and they are fundamentally weaker should they not have a wall. These ants now starting to form a larger clump, a much more powerful clump as well, especially considering we're now getting the 7th vehicle factory up from the DBP. In fact, my mistake, that would be the 8th vehicle factory, and there are actually 2 air factories now. I do get confused with these icons, especially when they stack. I do apologise for that. Yes, as I say, this is a now very powerful clump, and the same beginning to form on the DBP. A little bit slower though, although the DBP is going for some advanced vehicle factories, so maybe we will see some early levelers coming out here, putting some good early game pressure on the Pureriffs base. These ants are going to come down, not going to be able to defend that laser tower before it is taken out. They are going to lose that fight. There are way too many ants there for anything to happen. And the Pureriffs is going to walk away with that, with minimal losses to ants and also damage to the commander. They want to get him out of there before the D-gun swoops in. You want to get your commander out of there. That is not a favourable place to be. 2 commanders fighting and a bunch of ants to back up. You want to get him out of there and supported. Honestly, the DBP, you really want to run right now. Get your ants down there supporting, because otherwise a lot of death is going to come your way in terms of nuclear explosions on this planet. Maybe all a little bit too late, the fabricator's been brought down. But the hummingbirds now being able to repel those bumblebee raids. They are being taken out by the ants right now, and those ants are also going to die there. But we do have a huge amount of ant production possible from Pureriffs base right now, because they have 9 factories now, 9 vehicle factories, even 10 in fact. I believe that's 10. I might have miscounted.
Hello.
But
sound microphone muted.
You'll just have to see what goes on there. And that the defensive line now has been pushed back on the part of the DBP. The Pureriffs has got that aggressive advantage right there, which is interesting to see. But if the DBP can defend this line, they will be able to hold it while they get some levelers out. And indeed, we do see the levelers beginning to take shape in terms of the army composition now. The first one just about to be finished. And that we've got the continued expansion from the DBP up here, although the same can be said for the Pureriffs, who has now got to this abundant metal site over here and is going to get a huge amount of metal. And if they can keep up with their energy production, they can really start building a lot of factories and really producing a lot of ants at once, and producing a lot of pressure on the DBP. Indeed, we can see this now, just going to take out these defensive lines, because they know that the defensive line is now established back here, and if they can take out this laser tower, they can begin to expand to these metal sites and gain even more economy there from those, which will be even better for them. Hummingbird just sitting over there, just getting sniped. A little bit of a waste of a bumblebird. These ants now going to repel any form of attack and even defend these metal sites for as long as possible. This commander going up here and beginning to just build tons and tons of vehicle factories from Pureriffs. I've lost count now of how many vehicle factories they have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 vehicle factories there. So that is 12 ants at a time. That is going to be a large army coming out at once every so often, because of course the more factories you have, the bigger your army can spawn out at the same time. Although one was taken out by the artillery there, and the commander is under fire from the pelter, which has been cheekily set up by this defensive line here. And if the commander gets a little bit too close to all of these ants and laser towers, they are going to find it a little bit tricky. The pelter really wants to focus down on some of this, and these ants are going to move in and maybe begin to overcome this. The leveler there helping as well, but is going to get taken out. Another one sat in the back there, who's now going to press down towards this commander who really wants to get himself out of the way there. The Purist really wants to start retreating now. Instead, no, they're going to take the whole clump head on. That could be a little bit of a risky move, especially considering they are getting low on health. Are they going to get away with this one? I'm not sure. I think it's going to be very close indeed. And the commander is going to go down. He's not. He really wants to stay away from the front lines now. That was incredibly close. Purist is really going to want to be very cautious with that commander, especially given the risk of snipes now that these bumblebees are going to follow up. Are they going to get the commander snipe and take out that last remaining health points? Indeed, they do a little bit of damage, and a second one just misses. Purist, you really want to be careful with your commander now, because bumblebees are going to take that as a target. Indeed, he senses this. He's going to get that anti-air up as soon as he possibly can. These levelers really producing a threat now for Purist, considering they've pounded through that defensive line, and the ants are all sort of in a disarray almost everywhere, just going, oh my word, we were not expecting that at all. This defensive line being re-established here now as quickly as possible before more levelers and ants can actually make their way out of the production line. Bumblebee's now going to swoop round and down probably, and maybe head back up into the commander's base. And here is a fundamental mistake now. Building a lot of anti-air directly around your commander is not the best thing to do, because the anti-air actually needs to kill the thing before it drops its payload, and if it's all sitting right there, it's not going to do that. As you saw there, a little bit of damage was done to the commander, who is being healed at the same time now, which is actually going to turn those tables back again to almost a level playing field. But as I say, the artillery is sat here and is going to start pounding away. Maybe if they can get some catapults up as well, that's really start putting pressure on. But meanwhile, Purist continuing to expand over to all of these metal sites, and maybe even controlling this entire peninsula and producing a flanking line right now up at the North Pole and coming back down through these metal sites expansions from the DBP and making a backdoor into the base that's very weakly defended indeed. Only 2 laser towers there. Indeed, we also see a second vehicle factory going up, but these ants are going to move around and start to put a lot of pressure on these factories. They are probably going to take out a good 2 of these factories before any form of half-decent contest is made. That is going to put a dent in their production right now. There goes the first one. In just a second, there it is. And these ants are just going to continue to move up and around, getting a lot of free intel now, a lot of free damage as well. The Bumblebee is trying their best there, taking out 2. 3 indeed, 4, and that ant push is going to get completely negated now. Although it did do a significant amount of damage there, one did die. And now we see these ants and levelers pushing over here to further economic expansion. Just going to sort of sit around and do a little bit of damage while they wait for more ants to move in on their position. They really want to be pushing forward now, doing as much damage as they can in such a small force, or just retreating and regrouping so that they can get a more powerful force. This commander here going to continue to provide that defensive line there for as long as is humanly possible. In fact, is a human? No, it is a robot. So, humanly possible is no longer actually legitimate in terms of sayings. And an absolute ton of vehicle factories now, and even 2 tier 2 vehicle factories, and that is going to negate the advantage the DBP has with those levelers, because it is going to be a level playing field. And in fact, Purist is actually going to have the advantage because of the superior amp production that can support those levelers. And the commander is out in the open here. He really wants to get behind that defensive line. All the ants sort of in various different places where they're really not doing the best in terms of their defense. The commander really wants to get away now before those ants start moving in. I mean, the commander can just about hold his own against that, but as soon as the levelers start moving up, indeed, which they do have one now, and even more on the way, that is going to be something of a threat to the DBP's commander. Over here we see a cheeky tier 2 air factory going up from the DBP, maybe getting some hornets out for even more attempted commander snipes, while he sits in his anti-air nest right there in the middle of his base, doing not a lot. He has been fully repaired now, so they are going to need a good 8 to 10 hornets to take him out. That is providing they don't get taken out themselves by the anti-air that Pureriffs has around their base. At this point now, it would be a good idea for the DBP to get up some more artillery, but this is not the case. Their commander is going to move down for some reason. I do not quite understand this. They are really out in the open. They're not doing a whole lot. I'm not sure whether he wants to go and attack with it, but they are levelers now, and that commander is in very thin ice right there. He's going to want to move away before the levelers really hone down in his position and get this around, especially considering those are now all there. The bumblebees are going to circle in as well, the ants and levelers in addition. There's not going to be enough defense here from the DBP. That commander is really going to want to retreat as fast as possible right now. And indeed, I think this might be it for the DBP. This push is incredibly powerful with not a huge amount of defense from the DBP right now. The commander is going to try and run through their base as fast as possible, but I don't think they can outrun these ants and levelers, who are going to catch up, and they are going to find them provided they can get through this, which is going to be rather easy for them. There is no longer any defense. The only form of defense now come in the form of 2-3 ants, the leveler, and these 2 laser towers, and the commander himself. The energy fields are going to completely go down right now, which is going to stop any form of hornets being produced here, and maybe it's an idea to completely cancel on that and just get some more vehicle factories out. This commander is going to continue to leg it up here, but how long can he escape the ants? I mean, he has got these hummingbirds just scouting his location right now, although they are attacking other things, but these ants are just going to sweep through here. They're going to meet these levelers, they're going to take them out very rapidly and easily. And our simulation was terminated. That is rather unfortunate, although I do believe we could probably give the game there to Pureriffs.